Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps. Today we'll be talking about peace achievements and the successful AIDS program in sub-Saharan Africa. And therefore we have a special guest, Mr. Scelzio, of the Italian-based Catholic organization Community St Egidio. Welcome and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you to you for inviting me.
Peace is very difficult to achieve in South of Africa, especially because war is almost always fought in the name of religion.
Yes, of course. We used to say that war is the mother of all poverty. War in Africa is a serious problem. And now you can look at what's happening in Darfur, what's happening in Somalia. War is really a danger. War is really, as we say, the mother of all poverty.
You talk about Darfur. Darfur is a region in Sudan.
Yes,
is that
of
right?
Course.
What is St Egidio doing there?
Well, Darfur is a region in the west of Sudan. Well, it is a big region. It is as vast as France is. And they are fighting there since March 2003. We got in contact with the people fighting there since the beginning of 2004. We were looking for some solution, for some political solution to the crisis.
Can you just help us a little bit? Who is fighting against whom in that region?
Yes, this is a strange kind of war because I would say that this is the first war for water, in the sense that the desert is coming down. The desert, the Sahara Desert, is eating the space where people of Darfur, they are farming, they are growing up their flocks and so on. So the space is not enough for the population. The pastors and the farmers, they are fighting for the same piece of space.
And fighting for peace, for the same space.
For the same space, for the same land, yes.
Who then is fighting? Are there Muslims who do have the water fight against Catholics who don't have the water, or what is it exactly?
We have to clarify something about Darfur, because in Darfur religion doesn't, it is not a war of religion. The religion doesn't matter in Darfur. This is a war between Muslims. There are Muslims fighting on the side of the government, Muslims fighting on the side of the rebels, as they are called. But there is nothing to do with religion. Religion has had a role in the war in southern Sudan. Even if we think that religion is a pretext, is used to fight the war, this is not the real cause of the war. We think that religion cannot cause a war, and people of religion should be very careful in avoiding that religion could be used as a source of war.
Now you have been yourself to Sudan.
Yes, of course.
What is then your own experience in working with these people?
Well, the experience is that you need to listen. The method of St Egidio in working with this kind of crisis is that you have to listen to the people. You have to understand why the people are fighting, which are the root causes of the conflict. And then you need to understand which are the demands that people are putting on the table, and then to find a reasonable solution. You know that this should look too much ingenious, too silly, too simple. But the problem is that sometimes there are a lot of political interest, regional powers having their own agenda, hidden or open agenda. You have to go and discuss which are the root causes and listen from the people, from the concerned people, what they really want.
Can you give an example of your own experience of meeting these people?
Yes, of course. We have had in May 2005 here in Rome, you know that peace in Darfur is on the top of the agenda of the international powers, international community. Peace in Darfur has been dealt in a long conference that has had 7 rounds in Abuja in Nigeria. There was some problem in this conference. So at some time we called all the people, all the rebels, the so-called rebels, to come in Rome. They didn't want to go back to the negotiations. They didn't want to continue discussions with the government because of some fears, some mistrust, some demands that were not addressed properly. So we called them here. We called them here in Rome for a while to discuss with us. Well, you have to know that St Egidio is a Catholic community. We are here in Rome. Our headquarters is a monastery, an old monastery. So we call them all Muslims in a monastery. It was strange, but it was not a problem. They started their discussion. You know that sometimes international negotiation, international meetings are like a circus. There are a lot of people around the same table. I remember that once we were the observers to the negotiation. We were 35 bodies, too much. There in St Egidio we met only with the real stakeholders. No press, no external influences, no regional powers, only few days, closed door, no news leaking, and discussion, the time to discuss.
What is then one of the real problems in Darfur?
Well, one of the real problems is the land. Because land is not enough. Land in Darfur is not enough.
Not enough to live from, or what do you mean? There's not enough space for all the people, or not enough food from the land?
There is not enough space to live in, because the desert is coming down, and the desert is eating fertile land. This is the real problem. Well, there are a lot of clichés that are applied to Darfur. This is a Christian-Muslim war, that's false. This is an oil war, that's false. The problem is land, and the problem is marginalization. Some populations, some tribes, the Fur, the Zagawa, the Massalit, they have been marginalized for a long time. Now they are looking for the political space and for the land, so that they are discussing. Then you know that when you got into the politics, there are a lot of problems in external powers wanting to influence, wanting to get something from the negotiations and so on. In St Egidio, we have the freedom to close the door.
And have you been able to laugh with these people sitting behind closed doors?
We have been able to understand better these people, to understand better their way of thinking, their moods, their demands, the reason why they were not satisfied with some behaviors of the counterpart, some behaviors of the mediation, some behavior of the international community. We had also the occasion to explain something to them because we are free. And we are also free. Well, we have nothing to lose because, of course, we have not any interest, any hidden agenda, So we have also the freedom to say, well, my friend, since you are my friend, I have to say that you are not behaving well. And this is something that we are not part of the discussion. We are external. We have not any interest there. So we are free.
But is that a value they can understand? Value of friendship and of mutual love? Well,
this is something that step by step can be understood. Now it is a difficult period. You know that in Darfur, formally, peace has been signed, but peace is not in Darfur. People are still suffering, fightings are going on, and so on. We are looking for the way to begin a new round of negotiation. Peace is there, Peace should be there, but nobody is aware that peace is there. If you go into the camps, people don't know that there is peace. So now we are looking the way to start again the political negotiation.
But how do you start political negotiations if you want to talk about peace? What does peace in first instance mean for yourself?
Well, peace for us is a gift of God. Peace is something that we are not able to build. Peace is something that you should receive from God. This is our deep sense of what peace is. But of course, you have to deal with politics. When you are facing people fighting, you should use political categories. You should use political words. And you should use the words that the fighters are used to use.
And what are these words? What kind of words do they use instead of peace?
Well, they use the word peace. They are looking for peace. Of course, peace that the rebels are looking is something different from peace that the government is looking for.
So can you explain that? What is the peace the rebels are looking for?
Well, the peace the rebels are looking for now, their demands are about the land, about the unification of the three regions, the three states of Darfur in only one region, some compensation, some seats in the government. Well, these are the things that opposition movements, armed or not, they are usually looking for.
And opposite side, the government, what kind of peace do they propose then?
Well, they propose the peace of the status quo, of course, but this is nothing strange. Of course, when there are two different factions around the same table, they are looking for the same thing, but they call in the same manner to different situations. The problem is that our job is to shift. They are fighting themselves on the field. We are proposing them to fight themselves, to continue the struggle, but not on the field, but around the table. You know that when we have hosted in St Egidio for 27 months the peace negotiation for Mozambique, it was very interesting to see how a rebel, a man accustomed to fight into the jungle, into the bush, how he became a politician.
So how did you see then his transformation? What happened when you asked him to come to the table instead of fighting in the jungle?
You know that coming to the table is often the final target of every people fighting, because they are fighting for a reason. You need to understand it, in the sense that sometimes it is easy to think that people are fighting because they are foolish, are fighting because they are bad. Of course, fighting is not a good thing, and we know that there is not any time when, according to us, fighting is justified. But you need to understand that there are some reasons why these people are fighting. So you need to understand it. This is a good exercise. Help the people who are fighting, help the fighters understand and clarify even to themselves what are the reasons they are fighting for, and put them on the table. With the rebels of Darfur, but this is the same if we go to the people that are fighting in northern Uganda, the LRA. One of the most difficult moments for them is when they decide, when they achieve to start negotiation. Then there is the problem. I think that you as a journalist, you face this problem when you face a white paper, a white sheet. What should I write on this paper? What are our demands? It is not easy, because of course you have been fighting for years sometimes, and you have been waiting for this moment, but now you have a white sheet, and you have to write down what are your demands. And sometimes it is difficult, But this is an important moment, because it is the moment when fighters become to transform himself into a politician. And we, of course, we think that peace is something that it is a gift of God. But of course, we have to understand that we have to use political tools. And so political tools are very important. And sometimes our negotiations are a school of political tools for these people.
I'm very curious to know, why do you engage yourself so much in achieving peace in Africa? You live I'm sure, an easy life, if I may say so, here in Italy.
Well, of course, this gives me the occasion to talk a little bit more about the community of St Egidio, because I think that it is difficult to understand why a community like ours got involved in such a strange kind of initiatives, going into the bush to meet rebels and so on. We born in 68 in Rome, so you know what 68 means, the idea of revolution, changing the world, and we also wanted to change the world, but we thought that the best way to do so was starting from ourselves, starting from our heart, and starting from the gospel. So the gospel and prayer became the two pillars on which we founded our community. And then the third pillar is the service to the poor. In Rome it was a school taught for free to the children in the outskirts. Now in the 70 countries where the community is present with its 50,000 members, service to the poor means a lot of things. Mainly is a big effort in helping the children. Helping children in every part of the world we are. So in Africa it means to go along the street and meet the street children. Going to the prison and so on. But what does it...
That's the general story. But now about yourself, I'm sure you were not one of the founders.
No, of course, I was not even born at that time.
That's right. So what is your personal conviction? Why do you want to help get peace in Africa, in example Darfur or any other country?
I joined the community of St Egidio when I was 14. It was 1989. I was 14, and of course I was not thinking about achieving peace. I just met a few schoolmates that proposed me to join what we call a school of peace that was in the outskirts of Rome. So I went them, and I have to say that I got in love with those children. They were poor, they were having troubles at school, and we started to do what we call a school of peace, an afternoon school taught for free, where we tried to help those children. They were from Ethiopia and Eritrea, the first immigrants here in Italy. I got in love with those people, so I understood that I could help. I could help the others. And it was a joy, because it was funny and because it gave sense to my life. I was 14, I was looking what I will do when adult. Well, I found a source of sense for my own life. And it is the same sense that I'm living now, that is this to be rooted in the prayer of St Egidio, to be rooted in the gospel and trying to help the poor. Africa is one of the poor knocking at our door, and war is the mother of all poverty. This is clear for us. We try to look for peace, to achieve peace, because we are convinced that war is the mother of all poverty. And if you go in Darfur, it is clear. Because if you see how the people are living in the camp, I've seen it in Liberia, I've seen it in northern Uganda.
What then is exactly the poverty in the camps? You talk about camps. Can you explain to us what these camps are? Do the people not have their own houses? Why do you speak about camps?
Because, of course, in Darfur, you know that one of the biggest tragedy is the fact that people are not allowed to stay in their own villages, but they are forced to flee. Most of them are in Chad, some of them are still in Darfur, but they are living in camp. More than 2 million of people are living in those camps. But life in the camp, well, you don't have anything. You are waiting for something coming from outside, the international NGOs, the World Food Program. You depend on them. And, of course, one of the problems that we are trying to address is that in some of the areas controlled by the rebels and controlled by the government, there is no access to the for the humanitarians. So those people are not cared by anybody. This means that war is the mother of all poverty. I've been visiting the camp in northern Uganda. 1.8 million of people living for 20 years in the camp around Gulu because of that foolish war of LRA, Lord Resistance Army.
Now President Bush has just visited your community. Does that help your work, or why did he visit a Catholic organization?
Well, you should ask him why he wanted to visit us. Of course, we were very happy. We were very happy to receive the visit of the president of one of the most important countries of the world. We have been cooperating with the US government since a long time. During the peace talks for Mozambique, they were observers. And they supported our work, our initiative for peace in Mozambique. So the links with the government of the United States dates back to the 80s, to the end of the 80s. Of course, Madeleine Albright came to visit the community of St Egidio a few years ago during the Kosovo crisis, when we helped during a phase we helped for the liberation of Ibrahim Rugova. But of course the visit of Bush was something unexpected to us. We were really pleased about it. He wanted to talk with us about two issues. One is peace in Africa, and one is HIV/AIDS. We wanted to be the voice of Africa. We love very much Africa. We think that Europe does not make sense without Africa. We think that Europe is something that we are building now, the European Union Constitution and so on. But we think that the real sense that Europe can make is joint, I would say a joint venture, but we think that we share a common historical and geographical space, what we call Euro-Africa. So we think that we have to be the voice of Africa. Half of the members of the community of St Egidio are from Africa, from 25 African countries. We hear every day people crying out from Africa. So we wanted to present the voice of Africa to President Bush, and he has been listening. He has been listening, and he has been telling us that US will support the fighting against HIV/AIDS. And of course, I would say that US is one of the countries that is more engaged in finding a solution for Darfur. We talked about Darfur, we talked about HIV/AIDS. Of course, we didn't go into the details, but the problem was that we wanted to present him the voice of Africa, and he has been listening.
That's the most important, and thank you very much, Mr. Scelzio, for your work for peace in Africa. And thank you for watching our program Where God Weeps. And if you want to know more about Africa, please log on to our website, which is posted at the end of our program. And we hope to see you again next week. Take care.